Good evening. We are blessed to have Jadon Rogers with us again from Ukrainian Bible Institute and his wife Mary Lee. And he's here to tell us about the work in Ukraine. Ukraine, that's a country that hadn't been on the news in the last couple of years, isn't it? So maybe we'll hear some good news about Ukraine tonight. But Jadon's going to talk about what he's doing in Ukraine at the Bible Institute and maybe future plans as well. So, Jadon.
All right. Hi, it's good to be here again. I tell you, I always enjoy coming here and sharing this with you guys. You have been so helpful in our work in Ukraine. I cannot say enough to praise you and say you have encouraged us greatly through quite a few years, and we're just really thankful for what you've done. So as you listen to what we say tonight, I want you to know that you have been a vital part of everything that's been going on in the Ukrainian Bible Institute and in my life and Mary Lee's life. And we just believe very strongly that one of the things that we constantly need to be doing is, let me turn this on and it'll help, it'll work better, is growing the kingdom by training native workers. And we mention that every time we come here. And we have just seen such amazing things happen in Ukraine. We've had now over 220 graduates. They're working all over different parts of Ukraine. We've had over 60 congregations of the Lord's Church that have been established as a result of people in it working. And there's a lot more meeting in just homes that are still doing good work. But when I say over 60, I'm just talking about the ones that have really been influenced by our students and graduates at the Ukrainian Bible Institute. And as I've said before, I think, while I've been here, there are so many congregations in Ukraine. There are more congregations in Ukraine now than all the rest of Russia and Europe combined. And we believe with all of our heart that UBI, Ukrainian Bible Institute, has been a vital part of that. And we just really strongly believe that we can grow the kingdom better by going in and training workers and then just sending them out, letting them go, letting them get the job done. And that's exactly what's been happening over there. I love the passage in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6, and this has kind of been our theme for this year's program. Without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who diligently or earnestly seek him. We believe very strongly in living by faith. I remember when I was at Lubbock Christian, we had a teacher there at Lubbock Christian who would emphasize the idea of us having faith. And one thing he would say over and over and over again, it's not a matter of simply believing that God exists. That's part of it. But a major part of it is trusting God in all of your life, trusting him. Even though you don't always understand and know the circumstances that are happening in your life. And there's been many times, of course, in our time in Ukraine that Mary Lee and I have wondered what in the world's going on, especially when we got into that war situation over there. But it's amazing how just trusting God, we were able to reestablish in Kyiv, and the blessings continued to flow to help even more of Ukraine as a result of that. Another passage that's beautiful to me is 2 Corinthians 5, verse 7. We live by faith and not by sight. Some translations say we walk by faith and not by sight. I love this idea, just we live by faith. We live by faith. It's 24 hours. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's all the time. We live by faith. And as you see us going on, when we get into a video that's toward the last, you'll be hearing several songs that all of us, I think, are familiar, at least with some of them, about living by faith. And it's just a beautiful thing. And of course, as you look at this picture, this is whoops, went one too far. There we go. This is the entrance to the Ukrainian Bible Institute. And as you go in those doors, you come into the place where our offices are. Then another part of the building, we have our classrooms, and we have people that are actively doing things all of the time. One of the things I love about these Ukrainian brethren is they are deeply committed to the Lord. We're constantly amazed how it's just 24 hours a day with them, constantly. They're always thinking about ways to reach out to other people. They're always thinking about what we can do next. What can we do that will teach people about Jesus Christ? This picture shows that we live in a place where there's a lot of high-rise buildings. And in my thinking, I'm thinking, this is such a great opportunity. We've got the church now, besides the Ukrainian Bible Institute, we've got the church established here. There's probably close to 10,000 or 15,000 people that live just right in this one area. And this is happening in many places in Kyiv. Well, what we've tried to do here is start a new congregation. We started with about 20. It's grown larger and larger, and I think just before we came back, the largest audience we had was about 87, and we can fit 70 comfortably, so we had to make a little bitty aisle, and I'll show you a picture of that later on. And then since we've been gone, they've had some times where they've had to set up chairs in other rooms. And so it's marvelous to see this kind of growth. But what I'm thinking is, what if this same thing can happen in different parts of Kyiv? In fact, there's another location where a similar thing is about to happen. They're starting a new congregation. There's buildings around them. They're not completely completed, but by the end, they expect to have about 10,000 people here. Well, this could be multiplied over and over and over again. And that's what UBI wants to encourage and hope will happen. This was our group of students and staff and some graduates that were there at the school on the very first day of school. Then this was a picture of our students this year. We had about 19 students, and that's a really good number for us to work with. And they're amazing young people. Here we have our staff, and in the staff you'll see, of course, me and Mary Lee over to one side, and then we have right beside Mary Lee is Ludmilla, and she's the one who takes care of a lot of our paperwork at the school. Then you have Evgeny, he's one of our translators. Then we have Sasha Maluga and Natasha Maluga. Sasha's one of our teachers. Natasha's, she pretty well runs the school. She does great things with the school and has for many years. And then Dima Grishuk, who's another one of our teachers at UBI. Then Sergei Wojciechowski, he's been doing a lot of our video work, doing our correspondence coursework. As we have a video right at the end, he's the one that has put it together this year. I think you'll be pleased and say he did a good job. And we're so thrilled to be able to have very talented people that are just doing great things. And you'll see even more of that as we go along. Then besides them is Brandon and Katie Price. Brandon is going to become the new director of UBI. We're going to be changing positions, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a little bit. But we love our staff, and they just do a great job with the students. Of course, I've mentioned several times, and we constantly are emphasizing this, that we're training students in the Word. They go through every single book of the Bible. We do train them in outreach. We train them in service. We believe with all of our heart that they need to know more than just the Word. They need to know how to get out in the community, how to reach people, how to talk to people. And so they're being trained in that as well. And they go out and they love to do evangelism on the streets. And I call it joyous evangelism because they really enjoy doing it and talking to people. And you can see that from the smiles on their faces. They set up a little table. They have literature that they can give out and give to people. A lot of the people that have come by end up coming to church and seeing what's going on in the church as well. They're curious. And so we want them to know about the Lord's church as well. One of the things I talk about is creativity. It's amazing. Through the years, Mary Lee has been really involved in teaching the women how to do things in a nice way. And then we've gotten to a point where a lot of it we can just kind of turn over to them. They do such a great job. The last 2 years, they've held their own Vacation Bible School. This year, our Vacation Bible School was on Joseph, the young man there in the Egyptian costume. His name is Nazar. Nazar is an orphan. Later in the discussion in the video, he'll say that he went to a boarding school, lived on the streets, etc. When they say boarding school, they're not talking about a boarding school like we think of here in the United States. It's an orphanage, and many times they're in very poor and sad conditions. But he's been converted to Christ. He's gone through UBI. He's now working as our youth minister at the congregation there, and is just an outstanding young man. He loves to come in and hug Mary Lee and I in the mornings. He hugs everybody. I mean, he loves that warmth, because he had lacked that so much in his life. And he'll come up to Mary Lee, give her a great big hug, and he'll say to her, "Mom, I love your perfume." You know, that's very meaningful to him. The other young lady that's on the other side is a lady that has gone through rehab center. She's had difficulties, a lot of difficulties in her life. She also will speak on the video and tell a little bit about what it's meant to be at UBI, to change her life. The lady that's in the middle, her name is Luda. She's done the work on the costume. She's very, very able in designing and putting together costumes for this kind of thing. And so we had a special thing on Joseph this year. Now, the guy on the camel right there, some of you may have met him. He's the new director of the Sunset International Bible Institute, Tim Burra. But Tim did a lot of work over in Ukraine years ago, in Mariupol, Ukraine. And so he comes over every once in a while and teaches at the school, and he loves UBI and what we're doing at UBI. So that's a picture of him up on the camel. They made that camel frame out of steel and got it really good and strong. They could put 4 adults on that, and they put 4 or 5 kids on there that hang on, and it's really beautiful. That Luda has put together all the costume part of the camel on there, and so I just wanted to show you that, again, to show you the creativity. Here's the kids. We were going to have to limit the kids, number of kids that came to it. They limited it to 40, but we ended up with 45. We just couldn't turn some of them down. And so they had 45 kids. Now, a lot of these kids that come to the Vacation Bible School are coming from these high-rise buildings that are all around us. And then they'll go home and tell what fun they had to their parents. And so some of their parents have been coming to church as well. Some of them have been baptized into Christ, and what a joy that is. This is them acting out the story of Joseph and telling the story of Joseph to the kids. This is, again, Nazar, who plays Joseph, and the other young man plays one of Joseph's brothers. He's too a neat young man. His father went through UBI several years ago, and his father then brought his older brother to come and learn about Jesus at UBI. He was baptized into Christ. He's been graduated from UBI, and he's now working in a town called Dnieper. It used to be called Dnipropetrovsk, but they've changed it just to Dnieper now, and he's doing a great job in Dnipropetrovsk, or Dnieper. And this young man is the younger brother that the older brother was really concerned about for a while and really wanted him to learn about Christ too. And he has become a Christian, and he's now graduated from the Ukrainian Bible Institute as well. He's got him a job, and he's working and taking some additional schooling, but he's going to be a real effective worker, we believe, in the kingdom over there. So those are special things and special creative things that these people are doing. Of course, this is the whole group of students, the children that came to Vacation Bible School there. One of the things that we do every Lord's Day is we bring the kids up and have a special prayer for them. And they all come up very openly and are happy to have us praying for them. Then they go to their Bible classes. In the Bible classes, and this is Luda, the one that has done a lot of the costume work. She's teaching one of the children's classes. We have several ladies that are involved with that do a great job in teaching the children. And this is Nazar teaching the youth class and doing a good job with that. One of the things that I think is so beautiful is to be able to not only train the workers at UBI, but then see them getting in these congregations, not only ours, but others, and effectively working and teaching and helping and growing. And that always makes us feel very, very good, very warm at heart. Another thing we do is we continue to work with orphans. There's a lot of orphans, of course, in the area. There's one orphanage that we consistently go to. Every week, there's a group of the church members that go to the orphanage, teach, work with the kids, have fun with the kids, and the kids love it. One of the things that they've said to me that I think is real important is that some of the orphans have said, we see people come to the orphanage very often, and they'll bring us some cookies, and they'll bring us a few little gifts and stuff like that. They'll take their pictures and leave, and we'll never see them again. And we think, well, we're just kind of being used when it's that way for a photo op. Well, when they see us coming every single week over and over and over again, that says something to them. That we want them to know that they are important, that we want them to know the Lord, that we really care about them. Of course, we take them if they need some dental work done, take them and help them get dental work. And this is Sasha Maluga taking some to the dentist. This is Natasha again, and she's out at the orphanage and she's teaching, and they do all kinds of crafts and they learn about Jesus. A lot of good things that happen there. And then I thought this was really amazing. These children, we have about 7 or 8 of them that come regularly on Sunday. The orphanage has noticed that their attitudes, their hearts, their thinking is changing, and it's getting better. So the orphanage loves for us to take them. But if they misbehave during the week, their punishment is they don't get to go to church on Sunday. And I thought, that's really interesting. At least they love learning about God, that they feel like that's real punishment. Now, some of our kids would be probably happy to say, oh, you can't go to church on Sunday. But these kids, they love to come. And I just thought that was amazing that that's one of their punishments they get. Of course, there continues to be the problem of the war over in the eastern part of Ukraine. You don't hear much about it anymore. You hear a lot about Ukraine, but it's not about the war. And so there's lots of refugees that we continue to try to meet some of their basic needs and help them with some of the things that they are needing badly, like basic supplies and clothes and so forth. They come, they show us their passports so that we know where they're from and that they actually are refugees from the Donetsk or the Lugansk region. And they'll line up and stand in line until they can get registered, and then they go. And we have a lot of our teens that are working with this as well. They're helping giving out the supplies. So that says to our teens, you're valuable in helping us in the church and doing things like this for other people. And they're really blessed by that as well. Usually have some cookies and something to drink for them, and they really enjoy it. This is the room where they go in and they can get clothes. And lots of boxes of clothes have been sent over to help these refugees. We, again, consistently have people going to the Kiev Burns unit. They take supplies, they take things that these children and families need at the Burns unit and provide help for children that have been burned severely. This always touches me whenever I see this. And again, it's something that's important that we are consistent with, going every week to help them. The only time that we don't go is if there happens to be some kind of quarantine at the hospital that they say you can't come, always call them and let us know, try to find out, is it okay for us to come this week? But most weeks we're allowed to come and help them out. And of course, just like us over here in the Texas area, we always love a good potluck. Well, they do too, and this is one of our Ukrainian potlucks, and they enjoy eating together. We usually try to do this as a church once a month, and it's a good time of fellowship together. There it goes. Of course, a lot of what's been in the news over here has been a lot of the corruption that you find in Ukraine. And Mary Lee and I have had to deal with this for several years. There's a lot of corruption there. A lot of people, if you want anything done, or they want anything for you to do anything, or for them to do anything, they want some kind of bribe, or they want something done. We've tried to avoid that as much as we possibly can. What we've usually done is, if we've talked to an official and there's an official that says, we want, something done by you, and then we'll help you, we'll say, okay, where can we help? And there's been several of them that have said, well, we've got an orphanage in a certain place. Would you help this orphanage? Or would you help this children's hospital? Or would you help some way? And we think, we can do that, because we want to go out and help people, and this gives us an avenue of helping them. But if they want to come and say, well, I want a new bottle of cognac or something, well, forget it. We're not going to do that for them. But they do that sometimes, even in the schools. So we felt like an important part of training in Ukraine is teaching character and ethics and training children in that. It's going to be hard to change some of the older generation. Not going to be able to change a lot of these oligarchs that are there. But we can work with children and help change them. And so we're trying to do that by teaching character to them. Of course, Mary Lee is always a very popular figure over there. The ladies love her. The guys do too. They think she's a very special woman, which she is. She's amazing and has been such a help to me through these years over there. But she trains the women to be creative in their service and be able to use their hospitality to reach out to other people. They love to come and be in our home. They'll take a picture of everything in the house. They think it's just special to be in the house of an American. And we don't mind that at all. We love for them to do that. We try to make sure that they're never put down by that. They're special people, and we tell them how special they are. But they enjoy coming and seeing how we live as well. Mary Lee's also had some special times that she's been able to teach in some of our programs with the ladies at the church. Recently, she was teaching and taught as we had a series on love. And this is some of the ladies within the church that had come for this special time together, and they really enjoy being with Mary Lee. I wish I had time to just tell you about every single one of these ladies. There's so many of them that are just such beautiful people, and it's just great. Now, a year and a half ago, Mary Lee and I went over to Arkansas, and I don't know how many of you have ever been over to the northern part of Kentucky, just south of Cincinnati, Ohio. They have built an ark that is, the size they believe it would have been in Noah's day. When I saw it and everything, we were just amazed. It was like blew our minds. Have the 3 floors. You can go in and see how Noah and his family could have lived, how they could have fed the animals and so forth. If you've not seen that, I recommend you going over there and visiting that. It's called the Ark Encounter. Then about 45 minutes away is the Creation Science Museum. The guys that developed this, they decided they had been to the Smithsonian Institution, some of these, and said over and over, all they saw was, well, here's how evolution works, here's how evolution works, here's how evolution works, here's how evolution works. And they didn't have any alternative to that, so they've created this Creation Science Museum to show that there's a different perspective to all of this, that God created, that God designed, that God did this. And it's a marvelous place also to visit. Well, while we were there, we went into a room to where there was a lecture going on and sat and listened to the lecture. After the lecture was over with, I gave the guy a card for the Ukrainian Bible Institute, and I said, if you're ever in Kyiv, we would love for you to come by and lecture our students on creation and as opposed to evolution and so forth. And sure enough, he sent me a note, said, I'm coming to Kyiv. I'd be glad to help out. So Terry Mortensen, with Answers in Genesis, came and lectured for about 5 days at the Ukrainian Bible Institute. Very deep, amazing lessons on creation, evolution, Adam, Eve, the flood, lots of things that were really helpful to our students and to us. I got a lot out of it myself, and Mary Lee did too. So we were very thankful to have him there. And we don't know, maybe one day he'll be able to come back and do it again. Of course, we're always so proud of our graduates. And our graduate theme this year was God has good plans for me, Jeremiah 29, verse 11. We believe that God has great plans for our graduates, that he's going to do amazing things that are beyond what Mary Lee and I have been able to do over there. We're two people that have tried to do our best to accomplish some things through the Institute, but I see a day that even more is going to be done based on the heart of some of these workers that we have over there. And of course, this is another picture of just us with the graduates at graduation. And so many of them have had radically changed lives. And in the video, they're going to be telling about that, how God has changed their lives. This, of course, today to us was a wonderful, wonderful story. This young woman that's on the, let's see, it'd be on your left-hand side, yeah. Her name is Anush. She's one of our graduates. She helps lots of people. And this young lady has ended up being helped by Anush. They came to church one Sunday morning, and this young lady came up to Mary Lee and gave her this great big hug and said to Mary Lee, "Thank you for helping me." Well, Mary Lee wasn't sure exactly who this girl was. We've helped lots of people over there, so not sure. Well, Mary Lee and I left and went to eat lunch later, and as we were sitting there at lunch, one of us said, they mentioned that her name was Lily, and all of a sudden, Mary Lee's eyes got bright. Lily? Lily? That's a picture of Lily when she was 2 years old in Donetsk. And the doctor said, this little girl will not live without us putting in a pacemaker, and she needs it quickly. The family could not afford that. It was going to be about $5,000 to send them to Kyiv and put in the pacemaker. So this is on the train just before they depart for Kyiv, and Lily's sitting in her mother's lap. Well, Lily had a picture, had a copy of this photograph. And when she saw Mary Lee, she immediately remembered that picture and knew that she had been helped by us in Ukraine. Well, it's amazing what God can do 18 years later, actually about 16 years later. She's 18 now. Because here she is again with her kind of adopted mother. Her mother is actually and father divorced. Her mother moved to Argentina, left pretty well Lily on her own, and so Anush is really helping Lily and taking care of Lily. She's old enough to get a job. I think she's gotten a job now at McDonald's, but she still struggles. There was some damage done as a result of her not having that pacemaker even earlier. But here she's hugging Mary Lee. And then, just after this picture was taken, I think it was the Sunday after this, Lily was baptized into Christ. You never know what a little thing done for somebody else, how God will use that in the future. Sometimes you never know that it happens, but sometimes it all of a sudden becomes clear that God has used that little thing that you did, that didn't seem so significant at the time to bring somebody to the Lord. So keep on working and serving the Lord every day. Try to find people that you can help. This was a congregation, the picture that I took that I wanted you to see, where you can see the very small aisle. We had to put chairs in the aisles and so forth. And we're just very thankful for the church that's there and for the Ukrainian Bible Institute that's having a good influence upon them. Another special thing that Mary Lee and I got to do this year, we got to go to a European Vision workshop in Bratislava, Slovakia, where we got to meet with a lot of the preachers in Europe, from Germany, from Italy, from Slovakia, from a number of different countries, France, and different ones, getting together to praise God and encourage one another. And that was also a special thing that we got to do. As I mentioned, there is now in process a transition. Mary Lee and I sat down with the Malugas, who we've been very, very close to, and talked to them about the fact that there's going to be this transition and another new director coming in. We cried for an hour together with them. It was pretty tough doing this. Then the next day, talked to the rest of our staff and let them know. Then the following Monday, we told the rest of the students. And so there's a lot of tears that are being shed over that. In some ways, Mary Lee and I are ready to do this. We believe that God is leading us in this transition, but it's very hard to leave something that had been so, so dear to us. Now, we're taking a different title, and the title that we're taking is International Liaison for the Ukrainian Bible Institute. Now, somebody says, well, what in the world is that? And what does that mean? What are you going to be doing? Somebody said to me the other day when I was sharing some of this, they said, oh, you're going to be retiring. I said, no. Missionaries don't retire very easily, and Christians don't retire. We're always Christians, and we keep on working and keep on doing things. It's just going to be a little bit of change in position and the amount of time that we spend in Ukraine. But here's what we plan to be doing. We will be a consultant to the UBI staff and continue to work with them and help them. Sometimes it will be by telephone, it will be by Skype or some other method. We'll try to go over at least 2 times a year and teach some of the courses that we've been used to teaching and that they like for us to come over and teach. Then we'll represent UBI to the churches in the U.S. and Canada, kind of be a liaison for that, and keep churches updated about what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on at UBI through newsletters. And then we'll assist UBI in some fundraising efforts. So we're still going to be working and doing things for UBI. But by being able to transition and not be over there so much of the time, we're going to be able to spend a little bit more time with some very dear grandchildren that for years we've not been able to spend the time with. And they're at a time in their lives and an age in their lives where we believe they're needing grandmother and granddad, and needing us to spend some time with them. So that's a part of what we'll be doing. But we're still going to be very involved in the work over there. This is Brandon Price. Brandon he's been teaching for this last 6 months, and he'll be continuing to teach through the next 6 months, and then he will take over in June as director of UBI. We'll be going back at the end of this month to Ukraine, and I'll continue to direct the school until graduation in May. We wanted to be able to be with these students that are graduating that we've come to be so close to. And so this is Brandon's family. Brandon, his wife Katie, she's a very sweet woman, and they have adopted a little boy. His name is Justice, and so that family is going to be working over there. Brandon actually came to Ukraine. I think I mentioned this the very first, but he came to Ukraine as an AIM student and came to Mariupol. After he got through with his 2 years over in Mariupol, he came back to Lubbock. He ended up going through Sunset. Then he ended up moving back to Ukraine and working for about 7 years in a city called Kharkiv, Ukraine. And so he's got a lot of experience. Both of them are pretty fluent in the Russian language. Not fluent enough to teach. You'll still need translators. People ask me, well, Jadon, you and Mary Lee, you ought to know that language back and forth, after 19 years. And I look at them and I say, well, we know enough to kind of get around, but we're providing jobs for our translators. Our translators wouldn't be too happy if they lost their jobs because we could speak it so well. They are vital for us. We love them dearly, and we enjoy providing jobs for them. Now then, next I want to show you a little video, and something that I want you to really see in the video, and I don't know if we can dim those lights even more. Is that possible? Not really? Maybe? Anyway, I want you to see this, and I want you to listen carefully, because one of the things that you'll hear is what UBI has meant to some of these people that have gone through the school. Another thing that I want you to be watching for, you're going to see several baptisms in there. Sasha Maluga was baptizing his daughter, and he talked to her before she was baptized, and he said, the Bible talks about us being baptized into Christ. And so as you're baptized, he's there with you. And I'm going to hold you down a little bit longer in the water. And when she comes up out of the water, she's got the biggest smile on her face you ever saw. And so I just want you to be especially aware of that as you see this video. All right. Mary Lee and I have been in Ukraine for 19 years now. It's been an incredible time in our lives. We would not trade it for anything. And to be a part of the Ukrainian Bible Institute has been such a joy. It's been a real big step of faith on our part, but the Bible tells us that we need to live by faith and not by sight. We don't know exactly what the future is going to bring, but we're looking forward to some great things as UBI continues. I want you to listen for just a few moments to some of our graduates, ones who have gone through the school whose lives have been changed radically. Listen to what they have to say. This can continue in Ukraine. God bless you.
If I were asked what UBI means to me, I would say that before I came to Christ, my life was like chaos. Christ changed my life drastically, completely. But when I came to UBI, those changes became even greater. And at this period of time, God helped me to become whole with the help of people who were involved in my life, the teachers, everyone who gave toward this ministry. And now I can be a tool in God's hands. I can do the same, to give, to serve other people because someone had served me first and my life has changed. I'm very thankful to people who have very kind hearts and due to whom UBI exists, because everyone gives a piece of their heart toward this work. And I know that and appreciate that very much. And I will try to make you proud of me and live up to the expectations of our Lord Jesus Christ. It is something that I can promise. I praise God for each one of you.
UBI has become a place of spiritual growth for me. When I came to Christ, I started to serve in the local congregation and realized that something was missing. I lacked spiritual growth and knowledge. Thanks to UBI, thanks to the lessons UBI teachers taught me, I've grown spiritually and learned more about God. Now I can be more useful for the kingdom of God. I'm grateful to you for your donations towards work of the school, because when students finish their studies, they go out into this world and preach the gospel. Once a UBI graduate helped me find Christ, and now I want to do the same. Help people grow spiritually and get them to know the Lord. Praise Jesus. Our family thanks all the people who have been involved in the ministry of UBI, because for us it is a great gain. If it hadn't been for UBI, we wouldn't have had the knowledge base we have today and would not have known how to help people properly. UBI is not only a school of life and knowledge, it is also a family, warm and spiritual home.
I love it here because there are real servants here, and they grow servants. I have never seen another place like it.
After 2 years of studies at UBI, the Institute has become my family, because I've never really had a family. I grew up in a boarding school, lived in a shelter, on the street. During 2 years at the Institute gave me love, care, affection. I work with children, and thanks to the Institute, I can now work with orphans and the street kids in a proper way. Thanks to the Institute and my knowledge of the scriptures, I have a ministry now. It is due to the fact that I know how to approach the children as I once was in their shoes, that I know how to teach them correctly. I'm thankful to the Institute that I now work with children.
For more than 20 years, the Ukrainian Bible Institute has been training disciples for ministry. Hundreds of graduates have touched thousands of souls all over this wonderful country. Our students have shown us time and again what it means to walk by faith and not by sight. Their passion for the Lord and for the lost is an encouragement and an inspiration to so many people all around the world. The future of UBI is bright, it is exciting, and it is an honor to be here and be a part of this school. On behalf of everyone at the Ukrainian Bible Institute, the staff, the teachers, the alumni, we thank you for your participation. We thank you for the role you continue to play in helping Ukraine learn what it means to live by faith.
I hope that was helpful to you in kind of getting another picture of what we're doing over there. It's really been special. We believe that this picture kind of expresses the idea that we have. We believe the future is very bright and that many, many more souls are going to be brought to the Lord as a result of the work of the Ukrainian Bible Institute. And I, again, just really wanted to thank you as a congregation for the help that you have given to us in being able to do this work. We couldn't do it without you. And we praise you and appreciate all that you have done.